If sugar feels like your enemy, like something you're constantly trying to avoid and stop thinking about, constantly trying to cut back on and feel super guilty about, I want to completely reframe that for you today. Because the cravings you feel for sugar, they're not a character flaw. They're not even a sign of lack of willpower or lack of discipline. There is nothing wrong with you. They're a signal. Once you understand what those signals are trying to tell you, sugar stops being something that you have to fear, and it starts being one of the most powerful tools you have to support your body and your weight loss. Here's what I want you to think about for a moment. How much energy and time do you spend on trying to figure out the best way to eat, how much to eat, how to avoid sugar, how to replace it, how to ignore the cravings? How much time does that take up in your day? The mental load is exhausting, and it's not making you healthier. It's putting you in a constant battle that you never quite win. And here's what that battle is actually doing to your body. The restriction creates stress. The stress elevates cortisol. Elevated cortisol makes the body hold on and makes the cravings louder. So the harder you fight sugar, the more your body's going to ask for it. It's not a willpower spiral, it's a physiological one. And it's not your fault. The mainstream messaging around sugar is so loud, especially in the current diet culture. It's telling you that it's addictive, it's causing weight gain, it's inflammatory. You hear all these things. And I understand why people think that, especially in these current times of social media, is the messaging is just bombarding us and it's confusing. But through my background in holistic health and nutrition, and my own personal journey and experiences of over 13 years in this field, I started looking at the actual physiology and what was happening inside our bodies. What happens in our body when we eat sugar, why we crave it, the science behind it, beyond the headlines. And what I've found is so different than the story most of us have been told. Sugar, in the right context, it's fuel. So let's talk about what happens when you try to cut out sugar completely, which is what most advice is. Cut it out, replace it with alternative sweeteners, with extra protein, white knuckle those cravings, and maybe it'll work for a few days, a few weeks. Some people can keep going for years. But when those cravings come back, and usually so much stronger than before, it's just another tally on the board where you feel like you're failing and you can't do this. And the conclusion is, I'm addicted to sugar. I have no self control, no willpower, and that's it. I'm just hopeless and I can't do this. And especially as a mum, when your plate is so full and your nervous system is overloaded, this added layer of just negative self blame and talk just chattering on your shoulder, it's so heavy and overwhelming. But the thing is, none of it's true. Here's what is actually going on. When you restrict sugar, especially when your body is already stressed out, your blood glucose drops. Your brain and every cell in your body runs almost exclusively on glucose, aka sugar and carbohydrates. So, when you're not getting this, your brain, the alarms start going off. Help, emergency, we need fuel. And that signal in your mind feels like a craving, feels like a desire. And this is not a moral failure. It's just your brain doing its thing to protect you, to try to survive. And if you've been under eating carbohydrates, skipping meals or restricting over time, that signal gets louder and louder in your body. The binging, the loss of control, the never ending starting tomorrow and reaching for what we call treats or sweets. It's not you as a person. This is not defining who you are. Sugar cravings, it's not a weakness. It's just your body asking for fuel that it has not been given. So cutting sugar is never the answer to this. Let me explain a little further because the physiology is super interesting and there are too many mums out there stressing and struggling when they don't need to. There's another way. So every cell in your body runs on glucose. All of them, your brain, your liver, your organs, everything. It is all fueled by glucose. So when we're told that sugar is the enemy. It's like saying your body's fundamental energy source is the enemy. It doesn't make any sense. And when you really absorb that truth and you take it in, you never look at it the same way. And it starts to open up a new path. A quick little fun fact that's really interesting is that white sugar isn't actually white, it's transparent, pure sucrose, like snow in the same way that when it's compacted together, then it looks white. So it's actually clear, crystallized sunlight, as some call it. And when you can step back and look at it that way, it kind of gets you to flip how you think about it and see it as something that's actually natural. Now, I'm not saying pour sugar on everything. There is context, and I'll come back to that. But I want you to feel how much of this fear is built on a story we've been told and not actual true biology. And this is where it gets interesting and why I call sugar the secret weapon to weight loss, to energy, to food freedom. When your body's glucose supply is inconsistent, you're skipping meals, you're restricting, or completely trying to remove it, your brain becomes hypervigilant about glucose. It obsesses about it. It starts scanning for sugar. You think that you're addicted and you're craving it, and it makes it harder to feel satisfied by anything else. But it's not an addiction. This is the brain and body protecting itself. Now, when we talk about sugars, natural sugars from fruits is one of the easiest, most bioavailable forms of pure energy for your body. Fructose from fruit is processed directly by the liver, and it's used to replenish glycogen stores, the energy reserves every cell draws from throughout the day. So when those stores are full, your body has energy available. Metabolism runs more efficiently. Your thyroid, deeply connected to carbohydrate metabolism, runs much more efficiently too. And then here's the magic. When every cell in your body is being fueled in an efficient way, your body feels safe, your nervous system calms, and your body starts to release weight naturally, without force, without restriction, being able to eat abundantly. So that's the secret weapon. Not sugar as indulgence, but sugar as the fuel your body was designed to run on. The issue was never the sugar, it's the context, the stress, the restriction, the inconsistency. Your body feels unsafe. So, removing those things and combined with low dietary fat, sugar becomes exactly what it was designed to be: pure energy and fuel for your cells and your body. Here's one shift I want you to try. Instead of asking, how do I cut back on sugar? Start asking, am I actually giving my body enough fuel throughout the day? Because most sugar cravings are not happening in a vacuum. They're happening in a morning of undereating or not eating at all, filling everyone else's cup but yours. Maybe skipping your breakfast, maybe having something too small, relying on caffeine and coffee to get you through the day and sheer willpower. And then the body sends that signal because it's exhausted and it feels overwhelmed because it's been building all day and trying to pull from a very empty source. So the practical shift here is eat earlier and eat enough. Calm your nervous system in the morning, nourish your body, and feel how that is stepping into your day. Include natural sugars from fruits, especially in the morning. This is when your body is most metabolically active and can most efficiently and needs to use that type of fuel. Give your body a rhythm it can rely on and watch those cravings fade away because you're actually meeting your needs on a biological level. Imagine what it's like to not be fighting food. What would your day look like when you didn't wake up already with that sigh of another day? What can I eat? What can't I eat? Getting dressed in your clothes, nothing feels good, nothing fits right. You're just frustrated and down on yourself. You're already starting from a place of negativity towards yourself, towards what you're going to eat, and it's just unenjoyable. It's not saying that changing your habits and changing your ways in order to lose the weight you want to lose is always going to be easy. But when you choose a path that isn't punishing and restricting, it really becomes a lot more peaceful and joyful. And the weight literally starts to release with ease. And figuratively, the weight is lifted from your shoulders in your life because food noise is something that most women experience from their teens. And it's just always there. It's consuming you, researching the new plan, the new diet, the new thing you're going to do and start over. And the cycle does not end. Can you imagine your life, how much time, energy, space, and freedom you would have with that element gone? Just all that gone. You'd be so much more present with your family, in your life, with yourself. Life's short, and you deserve to have peace and joy and freedom rather than constantly punishing yourself into losing weight and fitting this box in a way that is just not sustainable. Eating in this way allows for abundance. You no longer need to stick to a 1200 calorie diet, which is made for toddlers. That is the recommendation for toddlers, tiny little humans. And diet culture projects this onto you as a solution. It sets you up to fail. It's not healthy, it's damaging, and it's not sustainable. When you stop restricting and you start nourishing, and you're able to actually eat in abundance, you can be eating 2,000, 2,500 calories per day, and you will lose weight and you will be satisfied and you will be taking care of your body instead of depleting it and throwing it into survival mode. And I know high protein is the hype. The high protein, low carb, ignore the sugar. Now, one of two thoughts may be coming up for you. One, that sugar spikes and blood sugars are an issue when you have a high carbohydrate and sugar intake. And two, but what about high protein, low carb? That seems to work for a lot of people. You need to remember that what works doesn't mean it's healthy and it doesn't work for everyone. So to touch on it briefly in this video, point number one, blood sugar spikes are completely normal and a necessary function. So when we talk about how sugar and glucose are your cell's preferred fuel source, that means when you eat sugar, carbohydrates, it enters your bloodstream. Insulin kicks in and it pushes all those sugars out into your cells to be used for energy. So there's a spike and then out it goes. That's the mechanism, right? Where the issue comes in is too much dietary fat. I like to think of it like this. So you've got your bloodstream, in comes the sugar, and depending on how much fat you've got, depends how much of this is filled with fat. And if there's too much, the ratio to the sugars, then it acts like a plug. And the sugars are not able to be released into the cells for energy. So then they may be stored as fat, and this is where insulin resistance and so on comes in. Okay, so this issue is eliminated. When you have low dietary fat, the carbohydrates are not a problem. Pure fuel, not stored as fat. Number two, protein. As we have noted in this video, your primary fuel source is glucose, and this is a fundamental biological process that you cannot avoid. High protein diets are recommended for quick weight loss because it basically puts your body in survival mode. As I've said throughout this video, your primary fuel source for your cells in your entire body is glucose. You cannot avoid this no matter what you do. So, what the diet industry and the quick weight loss world has created is high protein diets. One, it drops water weight, so you appear to lose more weight quickly, and your body is still going to look for and find glucose. There is a very small part of the protein that has glucose in it, so you have to double, triple, or more the recommended protein amount daily in order for your body to try to convert this into glucose. It is not as efficient and it is a survival mode for your body. And that's why it can appear to lose weight quickly, but this does not mean it is healthy, sustainable, and there's a myriad of health issues that can come from this way of eating with high protein. So, with the basics of that in mind, you can understand that coming from a place of supporting and nourishing your body is how then your body and your nervous system feels safe and calm and is able to release weight. And it's also sustainable because you're able to eat in abundance. Instead of trying to work against your body's biology, there is a way you can work with it and you can eat in abundance. Yes, it might be different to how you're used to eating and how you have been told to eat in order to get to the weight, whatever that is to you. But when you can shift into a way that is aligned with your human biology, this is where it all changes and it stops becoming this to-do list, this weight loss journey. It's just your life and the noise is gone. So just remember that sugar is not the enemy and it never was. The cravings were a signal. And this story of guilt, restriction, punishment, this was a story you were handed. And it doesn't need to be your story. The war you've been fighting, you don't have to fight it. When you start working with your body and you give it that consistency that it needs, it all starts to change and it becomes peaceful. This is the foundation of the work that I do, where I help mums feel safe, supported, and nourished so that the weight is just a byproduct of the new life that they're able to live and be present in. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.